In appeal also, the finding of trial court was upheld, meaning thereby the landlord failed to establish bona fide personal necessity and the allegation of default on the basis of that receipt in respect of repairing cost of the building. Ultimately, the matter came to the Honorable High Court, Patna High Court. So I argued the case. I conducted at the very initial stage of evidence, I conducted throughout that case examination in chief as well as cross examination, and thereafter I argued the appeal also, and again the matter came before the Honorable High Court. The Honorable High Court heard the matter, and the then Honorable Mr. Justice Lalit Misra, the Lalit Narayan Sinha, has heard the matter and set aside the concurrent finding of that. He was a very prominent judge of the Patna High Court, Mr. L.N. Misra, who ultimately became the Chief Justice of L.M. Sarma. I'm sorry, his correct name was L.M. Sarma. He ultimately became the Chief Justice of India. So it was his talent and wisdom as a jurist in the second appeal. Normally, the second appeal is being admitted when there is a substantial question of law. And concurrent finding of facts are binding on the High Court. But Honorable Justice L.N. Sarma was he was a jurist. He applied the doctrine of pari delicto, which I have just discussed in previous lecture. By applying the principle of pari delicto, he came to the conclusion that this settlement of account, so far as repairing cost is concerned, amounting to rupees 3,000 and odd, which covers the total period of default for the year, 1 year or 2 year or 3 year, whatever it may be, is contrary to the provisions of Section 3, because it amounts to investment at the instance of the tenant on the request of the landlord for the continuance of tenancy, because without repairing, it would be very difficult to run the shop. It was during raining time, the water drops from the roof, walls were also damaged. Therefore, Section 3 is attracted. Means the amount covered by the expenditure cost, which ultimately covers the alleged period of default as per the defense version, would be available only when this document, which is in the shape of account of repairing cost, is admissible in law, or it is a valid document, because it document was created in complete violation of the provisions of Section 3 of the BBC Act, which prohibits more than 1 month's rent in any form. I have much stress on this word in my previous lecture, in any form. So it is also covered, because in order to continue the tenancy, the tenant got repaired the building, and he has made an account and used that account in order to prove his defense and save him from the decree of eviction on the ground of default. So by applying the principle of pari delicto, judgment and decree passed by both the courts below were set aside, and suit of the plaintiff was decreed. Then my client approached the Honorable Supreme Court. The Honorable Supreme Court set aside the judgment of the Honorable Patna High Court and allowed the appeal and ultimately dismissed the suit. And it will be very interesting to note that after dismissal of that suit from the Supreme Court, the original landlord, Misri Lal, though his father was original landlord, the second generation also gone away. Misri Lal died. He could not get the shop because the litigation continued at least about 30 years. And after some time, my client also died. And therefore, sons of Misri Lal became remedialess. Thereafter, both of them approached me, and I get the matter amicably settled between them and made a provision for bifurcating the shop portion, because its half portion would be sufficient for doing that business, because in the rear portion there was a larger area for storing the articles and goods, just like a godown. And now both are happy. So due to this technical aspect, the plaintiff failed. Now what is the legal aspect which the Supreme Court taken note of? Because the doctrine is clear that if both parties are wrong, then no party can take advantage of their own wrong. That is the basic principle of pari delicto. But the Supreme Court considered it that the landlord has got upper hand and tenant has got lower hand. Tenant represents the weaker section. Landlord represents the stronger section. Therefore, tenant was under compulsion. He was not in a position to continue the tenancy unless the house is repaired, because the landlord may neglect repairing work and ultimately the building may dilapidate or fell down or became useless due to damage caused to it. Therefore, the landlord was under compulsion at that time, and he has to protect his interest as a tenant so that he may continue the tenancy and continue his business for his livelihood, because he has got no other option at that time. Though the landlord may be in a bona fide need, but the law would apply in favor of the person who is weak. This was noticed by the Apex Court, and this point was advanced. This legal point was advanced on our behalf before the Supreme Court, that the tenant cannot be penalized by the landlord by applying the doctrine of pari delicto, because the tenant never voluntarily agreed Rather, he was under compulsion to do that thing, to invest, because rent might be 30 rupees or 40 rupees, whatever it may be at that time, but at a time he has to invest rupees 3,000 and more. So it was very compulsive for the tenant. It was not a voluntary act of the tenant. Therefore, the Honorable Supreme Court have considered the technical aspect of this doctrine, pari delicto, and three principles were noticed by the Supreme Court on the basis of English case laws. The Supreme Court has also taken note of the facts of earlier case was slight difference, but that also finds favor before the Supreme Court, which were referred on our behalf. That case is reported in 1984 Supreme Court. The party's name is V.S. Rahi versus Ram Chabeli. V.S. Rahi versus Ram Chabeli. This is a case which was reported in 1984, Volume 1, SCC 612. It is also reported in AIR and other journal. Other journal is 1984, Volume 2, SCR 250. This judgment is based on two earlier English cases, and therefore in our case, this principle was applied, in which all the 3 points were covered, so far as application of doctrine of pari delicto is concerned. That point was that it must be voluntarily, both parties at par, and they voluntarily and knowingly entered into a contract or agreement which is forbidden by law. If all the 3 ingredients are fulfilled, then doctrine of pari delicto would apply. If any of one is not there, then certainly this doctrine will not apply. And third, in this case, the both parties were not at par. The Honorable Apex Court has held that landlord and tenants are not at par, and therefore it is not proper to say that this doctrine would apply. Now, this case is reported Muhammad Salimuddin versus Misri Lal, reported in AIR 1986, 1019. Salimuddin versus Misri Lal, AIR 1986, SC 1019. Its equivalent journal is 1986, Volume 2, SCC 378. It is also reported in other local journals, 1986 BLJR 472, 1986 BLJR 472, 1986 PLJR 13 SC 1, 1986 PLJR 13 bracket SC 1, 1986 BBCJ 266 SC, means Supreme Court. So this is so important that almost all the local journals of Bihar, including the National Journal, has reported this case. And it was also followed in subsequent decision of the Patna High Court also, which you will find in a case of Siv Lal versus Anant Dev Misra, Shivlal versus Anant Dev Misra, 1986 PLJR 1144. And in order to appreciate this principle very correctly and promptly, one decision may be referred, that is a case reported in AIR 1968 Supreme Court 536. It makes a complete distinction that when this principle will apply or when this principle will not apply. But so far as one criteria is concerned that was there in the case of Misri Lal is that landlord and tenants are not at par. The Honorable Judge of the Supreme Court has made very important comment in his opening line of the judgment that no one could perceive a greater sin, greater judicial sin than to oppress the oppressor than to oppress the oppressed. So oppressed is the tenant and oppressor is the landlord. And therefore, the Honorable Judge said that one could not conceive of a greater judicial sin. मतलब न्यायिक प्रक्रिया में इससे बड़ा कोई पाप नहीं होगा कि जो दबा हुआ उसी को न्याय के द्वारा और दबा दिया जाए. कितनी अच्छी बात है. It was just a juristic approach of the apex court. So law has got its own force. It must be applied in its true letters and spirit, and it must also be appreciated by all the members of the legal fraternities that it has to be applied and it must be understood correctly and applied correctly. Then the result would be proper and justiciable, and it would be on the basis of the judicial precedent also. Then comes section 4. Section 4 is very important in view of the fact that the landlord has got right to enhance the rent, because there are cases in which tenancy is continuing for several years. Just in my case, reported case, I have pointed out, in that case also, my litigation continued for about more than 30 years. But the tenancy was continuing since more than 60 or 80 years. So there are cases. And in old cities and big cities, there are several cases. In Calcutta, we have noticed that there are several buildings which have been continuing since last 100 years or more than 100 years. And tenancy is continuing generation to generation. Though later on certain amendments were made and distinction were made, residential house and commercial buildings, certain beneficial provisions were made for the landlord also. Here in the Bihar also, some provisions have been made that will be discussed later on. But I am just by way of passing reference saying that it may be a case where both parties agreed mutually and voluntarily to enhance the rent. But even if they mutually agreed or they in the deed of agreement itself at the time of initiation of the tenancy agreed to pay a certain amount of rent, or after some time it is being enhanced or it is being periodically enhanced, in a remotest sense, even by the mutual consent, then also that rent may be revised or curtailed or reduced at the option of the tenant. Similarly, if the rent is very low and tenancy is continuing since so many years, the landlord will be in a position to enhance the rent, but not arbitrarily, but by taking recourse of law. How, when it is to be dealt with in this act itself, and section 4 is there. Section 4 says, notwithstanding anything contained. This is a non-obstante clause and very important. Notwithstanding anything contained in any agreement. Means if there is an agreement of lease and tenancy has started, and in that agreement itself amount of rent is mentioned, which is high rent. High rent according to tenant, it is not reasonable and it is not proper, then the tenant, even that agreed rent may be reduced at the instance of the tenant. A tenant may approach the court, for which the Court of House Control is there, and all those sections I have not discussed. I simply pointed out that these are the provisions which relates to the House Controller. Secondly, और लॉ टू दी कॉन्ट्ररी, अगर इसके कॉन्ट्ररी कोई लॉ हो, दोनों को है, नॉट विथ स्टैंडिंग शुरू होता है। अगर किसी एग्रीमेंट में हो या किसी लॉ में रहते हुए भी, इट शैल नॉट बी लॉफुल फॉर एनी लैंडलॉर्ड टू इंक्रीज और क्लेम एनी इंक्रीज इन द रेंट विच इज पेबल फॉर द टाइमिंग। कोई लैंडलॉर्ड नहीं इंक्रीज क्लेम कर सकता है और अपना मनमानी ढंग से इंक्रीज कर सकता है। कब करेगा? एक्सेप्ट इन अकॉर्डेंस विद द प्रोविजंस ऑफ दिस एक्ट। तो इस एक्ट के प्रावधान में वो इंक्रीज करने के लिए एप्लीकेशन देगा, वो जाएगा कंट्रोलर के पास। इसीलिए इस एक्ट में रेंट डिफाइन नहीं है, लेकिन फेयर रेंट। तो फेयर रेंट का मतलब हुआ रेंट डिटरमिन्ड बाय द हाउस कंट्रोलर इज ए फेयर रेंट। तो ऐसे समझा जा सकता है कि कोई भी रेंट लैंडलॉर्ड रियलाइज कर रहा है टेनेंट से, या तो वो पहले से एग्रीमेंट में है, या बीच में बढ़ा है, या बढ़ाने का डिमांड है, तो ऐसी स्थिति में टेनेंट अप्रोच कर सकता है कि रेंट फेयर फिक्स कर दिया जाए, ज़्यादा हमसे मांग रहे हैं, या अब तक जो 10 साल से ले रहे हैं या 2 साल से ले रहे हैं वो ज़्यादा ले रहे हैं, इसलिए अब हम उस पोजिशन में नहीं है, मार्केट रेट से ज़्यादा है। तो कैसे फेयर रेंट फिक्स होता है, इस पर नेक्स्ट लेक्चर में हम बताएंगे। दिस इज ऑल अबाउट doctrine of pari delicto, and I have fully covered and discussed section 3 read with section 4. Okay, thank you all.